25 years of broadcasting excellence. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios here in Kokomlemle. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including Radio Max in Takrady, Jubilee FM in Keta. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, DigiBank, Let's Go, and Telesol 4G. Just a touch. In this edition, IMF and UN agencies in Ghana shut their offices and ask workers to stay at home after it emerged one of them recorded coronavirus cases, and
one is a foreigner, one is a Ghanaian who is domiciled and works abroad who came down to visit.
We'll bring you details as some schools order parents not to bring their children to school as experts call on government to expedite processes to provide protective gear for frontline staff and enhance public education.
We must continue to put investment into our health systems. There was a reason why all the health facilities were put up, and I think it would be good for us to maintain this.
We're live on the ground to gauge reactions from Ghanaians as the virus hits the country. Citizens Movement Against Corruption wants Parliament to reconstitute committee tasked to find auditor to probe Auditor General's office as it questions the inclusion of the Deputy Majority Leader.
I think that putting others upon it when in the very immediate past we've had this get fund issue, we raise eyebrows, we raise unnecessary tension. It lends the final report to being discredited or questioned.
CNN investigations review how an alleged Russian troll factory in Ghana is using Ghanaians and Nigerians to influence the November 2020 U.S. elections. In sports,
Chelsea's Callum Hudson-Odoi says he's recovered from the deadly coronavirus less than a day after the club announced he had been infected.
And in Ghana Man series today, we'll take you to the newly created Oti Region to explore its tourism offerings, including the Cheabobo National Park and the Breast Mountains.
The two twin mountains protrude, looking exactly as in the breast of a female. That's how come the name Breast Mountain. It's a very unique mountain.
Komladom will take us there. We have all that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. And in our very first story, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and UN agencies in Ghana have shut down their offices and have asked workers to stay home after it emerged one of the two recorded coronavirus cases in Ghana is an employee of the UN. The Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, at a news conference late last night said the two cases, which originated from Norway and Turkey, were confirmed yesterday by the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research. Well, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah provided more details on the two cases on the Super Morning Show today.
These are two males. One came from Norway, one came from Turkey. One is a foreigner, one is a Ghanaian who is domiciled and works abroad who came down to visit. Both have been in the jurisdiction and briefed just about a week or so currently.
Okay, which country did the Ghanaian national come from?
My understanding is that the flight emanated from Turkey.
You have the Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah there. Well, Joy News has cited correspondence from UN authorities here in Ghana to their staff following the announcement that one of their personnel had contracted the virus. My colleague Kojo Yankson has details. He joins me in studio. Kojo, what does it say?
Well, we've cited this email, which doesn't show the name of the person who sent it, but it says, "Dear colleagues, this is to let you know that we were informed last night that one of our UNDP colleagues tested positive for COVID-19. We want to first let you know that our colleague is in good hands, has the following necessary protocols, and is now under medical observation and receiving excellent care at an assigned government hospital. We hence want to assure you that there is no need for concern with our team and wish to share the following facts." And they've numbered those facts. One, the colleague's last day of work on UN premises was on Thursday, the 12th of March 2020. Two, the colleague returned to Ghana from travel in Turkey on 29th of February 2020, and started feeling ill 2 days ago. 3. During the time of travel and stay in Ankara, there was no reported community transmission of COVID-19. It continues, we have immediately informed management in New York, including DCO, the UNDP, Regional Bureau Management, the Division of Health Care Management and Occupational Safety and Health, as well as UNDSS, and we continue to receive their full support and guidance. Now, this is the last part of the message. Because our colleague worked until the morning of 12th March 2020 from his office at the UNDP building, I, in coordination with the representatives of all agencies based at the UNDP UNICEF compound and as endorsed by HQ's management, have decided out of precaution and for the safety and well-being of all our staff that staff normally working at the UNDP UNICEF compound should work from home until contact tracing is concluded and decisions taken in coordination with the national authorities. For others, please go to your offices as usual tomorrow.
Well, away from the UN too, we also understand that some schools are asking parents not to bring their children as a safety measure. What can you tell us about that?
That's correct. Ghana International School has an email that has been cited by Joy News, and it's written by Dr. Mary Ashun, and it says 2 coronavirus cases have been confirmed by the Ministry of Health, and she says, I will in consult with the board chairman first thing in the morning. I will be in consult, with the board chairman first thing in the morning. The school will be open as it was today. My expectation is that staff will use the opportunity to share with children what learning from home will look like in the next few weeks. Our examination classes in Form 5 and Upper 6 will be instructed in the Upper Secondary VP, by the Upper Secondary VP, read the ongoing mock exams. Please have your children empty their lockers of all their belongings, especially their books. Teaching staff will also ensure that they have all their materials with them when they leave. And they explain that their goal is to calm the children down, assure them that everything that can be done will be done, and together we will work hard to ensure that this virus is contained. There is also a message going round, which is purportedly from Lincoln School. Okay. Now, they are actually warning parents of students in 3 particular classes that one of the COVID-19 cases, they want to notify parents that one of the patients confirmed with COVID-19 had contact with a parent of a student in these classes. Okay. The family did not attend school and will self-quarantine for the next few weeks.
Kojo Yankson, thank you so much for that vital information. Our microbiologist with the University of Ghana, Reverend Professor Kwame Nasego, has reviewed that the coronavirus is able to live on surfaces between a period of 2 hours and 9 days. What this means is that if an infected person touches any surface like tables, doors, chairs, etc., you're likely to also get the virus if you touch it. Listen.
So the thing we need to do is to make sure that we don't come into contact with the virus. Now, one thing that the virus does is it stays on surfaces. And so when they say we should wash hands, and we should need to repeat this, but I think we should need to make people understand why they shouldn't shake hands. It's because you don't want to pick the virus from someone's hand, because maybe the person sneezed or touched something and picked the virus, and then touch your own face, your eyes, and also be infected by the virus. My checks on coronavirus shows that it survives from 2 hours to about, I think, 9 days on surfaces. What I'm trying to point out is that, and depending on the environment, the climate, etc., the lifespan may be longer or shorter. So there may be myriads of factors contributing to the picture we are seeing now. Our interest should be, we don't want to have an epidemic. So let us take the measures that we need to take.
You have a Reverend Professor Kwame Nasego. He's a microbiologist with the University of Ghana. Now, many people have had cause to worry about a possible spread of the virus. Mostly, this concern has been about our culture of shaking hands and touching doors and other surfaces. Well, management of the Marina Mall at Accra's Airport City has introduced fresh measures to protect its customers and within the facility. Joy News Health Editor Fred Smith has more.
Hundreds, if not thousands, of people from all walks of life visit the Airport City here in Accra on a daily basis. But the spread of coronavirus across the world is making that adventure more and more risky by the day. The mall is one of the first businesses to respond to President Akufo-Addo's call for Ghanaians to be extra vigilant. Since yesterday, customers are required to wear disposable hand gloves provided at the entrance before they are allowed into the mall. Maud Bariga is a shopper.
This is very interesting. I entered the shop and I was given gloves to wear before you can enter, and I think it's interesting. This is going to help all of us to stay away from all these infections.
A senior executive at the mall, Frank Ahin, says the move is in response to President Akufo-Addo's call.
The management decided to let anyone who entered the shop, including the employees, to wear gloves in order to protect ourselves from the virus. We are putting measures in place to install hand sanitizers on the wall. So as soon as the customer leaves the supermarket, they will be able to sanitize their hands before leaving the supermarket.
From the Marina Mall here and across Airport City, we head to the Kumasi Mall where my colleague Kwesi Debra visited some shops there. Kwesi Debra, tell us what you found whilst at the mall. Hello, Kwesi Debra.
Yes.
So you've been at the Kumasi Mall. What did you find? We have a terrible connection to Kwesi Debra's line. We'll hear some anxious customers and reconnect to Kwesi Debra.
Yeah, they have not put anything there to clean your hand or to wipe your hand or anything. And then they are also out of sanitizers. They said this morning there was a rush and then it's all gone. And I went to A-Life. A-Life is out. And then I've called someone to also get me some other time, and then they said that place too is out. So I think there's a panic buying or something in relation to sanitizer.
Thanks so much. That's all. I heard the news, I think, 11 p.m. yesterday when I was about to breaking news that there has been recorded 2 cases of coronavirus. It was kind of shocking to me because we were thinking, oh, Ghana, we are not going to have such cases here, but you don't know what may happen. And I got to know it's from 2 people from Norway and Turkey. And I was scared, but anything goes through, anything can happen. And we're just waiting, just preparing for anything that will come up.
Well, my colleague Kwesi Debra joins us once again. We'll try. Kwesi Debra, I've been listening to these customers who are raising concerns about the situation at the Kumasi Mall. Are you in touch with authorities there, and what have they been telling you?
Yes, first of all, with the Kumasi Mall, I met with the manager, and he told me that they've procured so many hand sanitizers, put at vantage points that was also in front of the shops and everything, so that customers who go there can get access to them. And also, I went to the China Mall, and somebody is standing at the gate who is squirting, as it were, hand sanitizers on customers who are entering. So these are the measures they've put in place. And even at the China Mall, they're having nose mask on. So for Kumasi Mall, you're having hand sanitizers. China Mall, you're having nose masks in addition to the hand sanitizers.
That's my colleague here, Kwesi Debra from the Kumasi Mall. Well, a researcher at the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, Dr. Michael Owusu, says resources made available by government places Ghana in a position to build modern treatment centers for coronavirus. Now, issues of holding centers have been of great concern to many health persons. Former Deputy Health Minister Dr. Victor Bampo says a lot must be done in the health sector to fight the virus.
I think that it's good that $100 million has been made available. That's fine, but I want to say that we should learn one thing, and that is that health systems are not built overnight. We can't expect the 100 million to turn overnight into the kind of people that we need to operate the ventilators, to do all the specialist things that people need to stay alive. We must continue to put investment into our health systems. There was a reason why all the health facilities were put up, and I think it would be good for us to maintain this, because if we are guided by history, then every so often some of these events occur. So we know that it will come. We don't have to sit and wait until it's at our door before we then try to.
You heard that Dr. Victor Bampo is a former Deputy Health Minister, will stay a while longer on the coronavirus, but this time in Parliament, where North Tongue MP Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is calling for the setting up of a special parliamentary committee to monitor how the executive is dealing with the coronavirus situation. Speaking on the floor, he said such a move will ensure the situation is properly contained. Mr. Ablakwa is also asking the executive to urgently provide to Parliament requests for approval of the $100 million that the President says will be dedicated to contain the virus.
Is the Honorable Deputy Majority Leader also going to possibly consider a special committee to be set up to carry out some oversight, some monitoring of what the executive arm is doing? If the Right Honorable Speaker can consider that, I think that it will be very, very helpful if this House can consider a special committee to carry out oversight of the preparedness measures that have been announced by His Excellency the President. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I note that there is going to be an extension. We'll be sitting on Monday and sitting on.
You had Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, his North Tongue MP. Of course, the Kumbungu MP also, Ras Mubarak, is urging Parliament to reconsider allowing visitors into the chamber over the coronavirus situation. He also wants the Speaker to consider imposing a ban on MPs from travelling outside the country until the situation is contained. Now, following the detection of the COVID-19 cases in Togo, the government put in measures at the southern border to improve early detection of the virus. Aside from the installation of a thermal scanner and provision of thermometer and protective gears, officials of the border agencies have been duly trained. Joy News' Fred Kwame Asare was at the Ghana-Togo border in Aflao and files the following report.
It's a busy day here at the Ghana-Togo border in Aflao in the Ketu South municipality of the Volta region. As usual, travelers are crossing to Ghana, while others are making their way into neighboring Togo. However, there has been a change in operations here following a detection of a coronavirus case in Togo. The Aflao Sector Commander of the Immigration Service, Chief Superintendent Fred Dwedu, outlined measures being taken at the border to prevent the spread of the virus into Ghana.
What about the equipment and other logistics that we need to also support whatever education that they are giving us? They initially gave us some hand sanitizers, some gloves, some nose masks, which of course wasn't enough, but we need to make do of what we had then.
Officials of the various border agencies here are on high alert. A thermal scanner has also been installed at the border health post to help identify travelers who may be infected with the virus. Each and every traveler crossing into Ghana from Togo is compelled to go through a screening process at the border health post.
So that those times, some of these locals who stay here and go and do business here and come, at times when they are come, because they know them, we allow them to go. Yes. At this time, if the person has moved from Aflao or whichever community, this is a Oti Region, gone to trade in Togo and is coming, you don't know who and who have gone to contract the thing.
Well, you had Fred Kwame Asare's report. Well, in the last few hours, we're learning that the Ghana Health Service is meeting officials of the Ghana Education Service over the possibility of the spread of the coronavirus in schools. But I'm sure by now many of you are trooping to pharmacies and shops to get hand sanitizers. But you may want to check the alcohol percentage because it matters. Listen to Dr. Michael Owusu. He's a researcher with the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research.
You can also buy absolute alcohol. You have 2.5 liters of absolute alcohol and prepare your own 70%. So if you have an alcohol which is about 100%, you can take 70 mils of the alcohol, add 30 mils of ideally distilled water. But if you don't have that one, you can, it's possible to use ordinary water, mix this and then use it. Either medical supplies. You want to talk about absolute ethanol or isopropyl alcohol. They will get this for you. And if you check the label, it's mostly 99.8%. So once you get this, you know that what you have is absolute.
Now you know what to look out for in terms of hand sanitizers. Now let's quickly check on the Ghana Health Services meeting with officials of the Ghana Education Service. Joining us, Health Desk Editor Fred Smith joins us on the line with more on this. So Fred, what have you been able to pick up from that meeting?
Well, I do understand that the meeting has been taking place between the Director General of the Ghana Health Service and that of the Ghana Education Service, and among the issues discussed is how a comprehensive message to be given to schools, the teachers and students on what to do to avoid contracting coronavirus disease. The two are expected to issue a joint statement shortly.
Well, but we haven't heard yet whether there are some measures that will be put in place in terms of closure of schools or anything of the sort, right?
Not yet. A detailed statement to be issued jointly by the two Director Generals is expected later in the day. And in this statement, we expect to hear what they intend to do about whether people should continue to go to school or stay at home.
That's head of our health desk, Fred Smith. We'll get more on coronavirus in the world of sports as well. Our top stories: IMF and UN agencies in Ghana shut their offices and ask workers to stay home after it emerged one of the recorded coronavirus cases is an employee of the UN. Still to come, Citizens Movement Against Corruption warns Parliament to reconstitute committee tasked to find auditor to probe Auditor General's office as it questions the inclusion of the Deputy Majority Leader.
I think that putting Najas upon it, when in the very immediate past we've had this get fund issue, we raise eyebrows, we raise unnecessary tension. It lends the final report to being discredited or questioned.
And in our Ghana Man series today, we'll take you to the newly created Oti Region to explore its tourism offerings, including the Cheabobo National Park and the Breast Mountains.
The two twin mountains protrude, looking exactly as in the breast of a female. That's how come the name Breast Mountain. It's a very unique mountain.
My family loves visiting me. Because I've got the super reliable and super fast 4G plus MTN Turbonet.
Everything is downloading so
And
fast.
with this super fast MTN Turbonet, it's non-stop fun and entertainment for the whole family at my house.
Wow, I finally
Grandma, this is so amazing.
Connect your home and entertain your family at the speed of yellow. Get an MTN Turbonet today and stay connected to the things that matter most. Only on Ghana's fastest network. Dial *5057# to purchase an internet bundle today. We day for you everywhere you go.
Thanks for staying with us. It's time for sports. It may be spreading, but there's some good news.
Absolutely. And Chelsea winger Callum Hudson-Odoi has revealed that he's entered into a 2-week-long self-isolation period after recovering from the symptoms of coronavirus. The 19-year-old sent a message to supporters via social media offering an update on his health after being officially diagnosed with COVID-19 on Thursday.
Hi guys, as you may be aware, I had the virus for the last couple of days, which I've recovered from. I'm following the health guidelines and self-isolating myself from everybody for the week. I hope to see everybody soon and hopefully be back on the pitch very soon. Take care.
But he didn't say what he did to recover.
Well,
Just the isolation.
you imagine that he went through treatment and has recovered, but I think that's a precautionary measure. He has to isolate himself for a certain period. Now, when he was diagnosed, Chelsea had to partially close down their training base, to ensure that it wasn't going to spread any further. But that is not the only development in respect of the coronavirus in England. All elite football in England has been suspended until at least the 3rd of April as a result of the spread of coronavirus. There is more in the following report.
All Premier League games, EFL fixtures, and matches in the FA Women's Super League and Women's Championship have been postponed. The Premier League said action would resume on April 4, subject to medical advice and conditions at the time. The Football Association said England's games against Italy on March 27 and Denmark 4 days later are off. The EFL, which hopes to resume play a day earlier, said clubs are also advised to suspend non-essential activities such as player appearances, training ground visits, and fan meetings.
Now, in the UEFA Champions League, all competitions, including the UEFA Champions League and Europa League matches due to be played next week, have been postponed because of the coronavirus outbreak. The draws for the next rounds set for the 20th of March have also been postponed. In the Champions League, Manchester City versus Real Madrid, Juventus versus Lyon, Barcelona versus Napoli, and Bayern Munich versus Chelsea have all been postponed. Manchester United, Wolves and Rangers matches in the Europa League are also off.
Some are happy. Thank you very much, Hans Mensando. Anti-Graft Group Citizens Movement Against Corruption is asking Parliament to reconstitute the committee tasked to find an auditor to probe the Auditor General's office. Parliament constituted the team yesterday, but the group says the inclusion of Deputy Majority Leader Sarah Joasafo may leave room for questions to be asked once their work is completed. You know that the Deputy Majority Leader is one of the members of Parliament listed in a recent Auditor General's report as an undeserving beneficiary of scholarship support from the GET Fund. Listen to the co-chairman of the Citizens Against Corruption, Edem Senanu, urging Parliament to take a second look at the membership of the committee.
In doing this kind of things, it's not just the fact that there's competency, but one must take on board all concerns and perceptions so that we don't get to a point where somebody can insist that no, this finding or this statement is because the Auditor General previously had a finding and then they discredit the report of the committee. There are several people with competencies in Parliament. I think that putting Adjustment on it when in the very immediate past we've had this GET Fund issue, we raise eyebrows, we raise unnecessary tension. It lends the final report to being discredited or questioned, and all of that doesn't help the outcome.
But the Vice Chairman of Parliament's Appointment Committee has defended the House's decision to appoint the three-member committee. Edward Derry Kaliawola tells Joy News, though this is the first time this has been done, it's backed by the Constitution.
The usual saying that who watch the watchman, that kind of. So if the committee is set up, an auditor is appointed, it will be done so within the confines of the Constitution. And for that matter, even at all, if the Auditor General hasn't been audited before, but once it is within the Constitution, it is within our mandate to do so. If the Speaker was willing to do that, why not? We'll do it.
And eventually, if things are seen to have gone wrong at the level of the Auditor General, punitive measures will apply, as happens with all other state agencies.
Definitely, if you conduct an audit, there should be a findings or recommendations as to what you want to do. You conduct an audit based on, and probably you might give an recommendation based on the facts that you found during your audit.
Now, CNN says its investigations have revealed an alleged Russian troll factory based in Ghana is using Ghanaians and Nigerians to shape and influence opinions in the U.S. ahead of the November 2020 polls. According to the channel, the goal of the trolls is to create divisions among Americans and provoke social unrest by focusing on racial issues in the country, promoting black empowerment, and also directing anger towards white Americans. Here are excerpts of the report by CNN's Clarissa Ward.
Though the group claimed to be focused on issues like poverty in Ghana, its employees posted almost exclusively about the U.S. Some used incendiary language. America's descent into a fascist police state continues. Someone needs to take that senator out. Often they posted on real U.S. groups, an attempt to gain legitimacy and build an audience. The employee tells us her boss was a South African who called himself Mr. Amara. But Mr. Amara is not South African. In fact, he is not Mr. Amara at all. CNN has learned his real name is Seth Weredu, and he is Ghanaian. Weredu has worked and studied in Russia for many years. On our last day in Accra, we find out that he has organized a secret meeting of employees on a university campus. He tells them to create more accounts and promises they will get paid soon.
There's more on that report on myjoyonline.com. Now, it was recently carved out of the Volta region, but it is equally rivaling its mother region in terms of tourism offerings. The Oti region, home to the Chabobo National Park, also hosts the Breast Mountain. Yes, you heard right. In our Ghana Man series today, Komladum takes us to the Oti region to explore.
It is much drier in this part of Ghana than the rest of the southern areas. This is the Oti region, recently carved out of the Volta region where I come from. I will not even brag about the tourism offerings in my region because it's well known that I have the highest mountain in Ghana. That's Afajato. Mount Gemi can also be found at Amajofa, which also has the Oti Falls. I could go on and on and on. But let's see what Oti has. I was fascinated by the discovery of a Chiabobo National Park, just along the border with Togo, closest to Nkwanta. I was told this reserve, established in 1993, has had its boundaries adjusted several times until September 1999, when its current boundary was demarcated. In the 360 square kilometer park is what many have described as the second highest mountain in Ghana, Mount Chebobo. Now, while on top of this mountain, you have an awesome view of a Lake Volta.
Actually, we are climbing. Yes, okay.
You would see African bush elephants, leopards, antelopes, and a park survey list of at least 500 species of butterflies and 235 species of birds.
No other researcher has found a similar species elsewhere. That tells you how unique and how endemic some of the animals are. It means that they cannot be found anywhere.
Now, while we experience the life in the park, we are exposed to 7 hiking trails and 2 mountain biking trails.
Since I'm here to have a hike, and my guide told me we can go to the Breast Mountain, so that's what we do. I would encourage others to come along.
It's a shame we didn't have bikes on our visit. But here, we are on the most popular hiking trail, which follows to a peak atop one of what is called Breast Mountain. Oh yeah, you heard right. Imagine 2 protrusions on the chest of a woman.
The 2 twin mountains protrude, looking exactly as in the breast of a female. That's how come the name Breast Mountain. It's a very unique mountain. As you go on top of it, it enables one to see a wider environment.
On top of the mountain, and it's a scene to behold. Trust me, this is amazing.
Do you have a breast mountain in your region? Definitely, you would want to visit the breast mountain in Oti Region. And that's it for the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. Thanks for your company.